Hi, my name is Laurel Schwartz. I was recently a school principal at a Canadian Chinese school in Beijing. And now that Yuan mentioned, the challenge of not being in China on the ground, and I can't imagine what it's like to not be able to go to your own home. But in addition to Bill Bishop and Vivian Wong and Keith Bradshaw, who do you follow to find out what's going on, either in English or in Chinese? What recommendations can you give us?
You can follow my podcast. Yeah, I do this Chinese podcast. It's approved by. It's my personal project, approved by the New York Times. I talk to mostly Chinese people on a weekly basis, and we chat about basically everything. It's in Chinese, but we also have transcripts for every episode. And as Ling mentioned, I found Google Translate is pretty good. And I most of the time I read Chinese sources. To be honest, I spend a lot of time on Chinese social media, which is not very healthy. But you have to, right? As a journalist, that's that's part of the job. I read Xiaohongshu, the Red Note, Weibo, WeChat, and it's Bilibili. I just do a lot of things, and I also, I think Substack has become pretty good. If you are talking about English sources, Bill Bishop, that's very good, and also I can't remember the name, Signification. They basically write about what's in people's daily every day, right? It's there are also some young Chinese. They are very good. I just talked to this young writer, April Wang, who used to work in Silicon Valley, and now she writes about technology. Basically full time, and it's called, her newsletter is called Concurrent on Substack, and it's like she went to China and then talked to Chinese AI developers, and she just wrote very long pieces with some kind of like a point of view from Silicon Valley. And it's very relatable for American audience. And I can't remember all the names. There's also another newsletter, young Chinese writer who writes about Chinese pop culture. I thought it's really amazing. There are so many young Chinese. They are not like a trained journalists, but they are just very interested in sharing their perspectives. And I thought, yeah, I like those.
Thank you. We have here in the front, sir.
Thank you. My name is Irv Chapman. I'm a longtime member of the Overseas Press Club. I believe one reminded me of my own analogous experience in the old Soviet Union, where journalists were under severe pressure, but also the regime lied through the teeth day in and day out. So I'd like to ask, to what extent we know what the Chinese regime did with regard to information about the COVID pandemic when it started. To what extent can you rely at all, if at all, on the official statements and statistics of the Chinese government? And to what extent are they outright lies? Oh, and point of order, would you please put the microphone as close as a rock star, because you're also politely soft-spoken.
I'd like to just address Irv's question from one perspective, and I'm sure others will have others, is that the data it's an issue. And this is partly why journalists in this country have stood up for the government continuing to allow things like independent data on jobs reports, for instance. And I know news organizations, including Bloomberg, including the New York Times, including Reuters, run models on economic data based on, not only the data they're getting, but doing their own reporting as well. So it is an issue. It's certainly an issue. Andy?
I just want to say one thing. One of the interesting things about Xi Jinping in particular is that if you look back on his particularly his kind of available speeches, if you go down to like the third or fourth paragraph, he pretty much announces kind of what's going to happen. I think we also have to expand our imagination to imagine kind of what he's likely to do and how that how it differs from what's come immediately ahead of him. So I don't tend to trust official statistics, or I'm not a Pekingologist. So I'm maybe speaking a little bit out of school here, but one of the things that she has done, if you could get through all that rhetoric, is kind of announce things fairly accurately, ex ante.
Way in the back, I see somebody.
Yes, hello, my name is Prab. So I'm curious to ask you, one of the things that Mrs. Chen described was on the ground. So I'm wondering, considering the technology we have over 8,000 satellites, and we can use a lot. China has, I think, about 3,000 something. So why not discuss about using other forms of technologies, GIS maps, or satellites, to actually find ways, innovative ways to see what's going on, what's the news out there. Why not discuss something on the AI level as well? Why just on the ground? Like, why not other ways? Because we are going to a new phase of world. I would like to hear a perspective on that.
Thank you, and let's take a couple of different questions because we are nearing the end of the session. So up here in front, you've been so patient as we wait for the mic to come up.
Christian Cray. I'm a statistician, but my father worked at The Economist for 40 years. My father taught me that if you're going to go and do a global survey in someone else's country, what's best is to find someone who's trusted already inside that country, and to follow their leads and to be positive about the things you're trying to research. So I was in Beijing 3 times between 2015 and 2019. Romano Prodi helped me once. It helped you because he still consults, I think, for Nanjing. Ying Lowry, who was Alibaba's biographer, was there at Tsinghua University, also the sportsman scholars. So if you find someone who's trusted and follow their leads, I think it is still possible to actually, find out what's working on the ground and if it really is working. And that's what interests me with engineering or health, improving it by finding out something someone's talking about, but then going and seeing if it's really replicating in communities.
So, any last questions before we turn it to the panel? Yes. In the white.
Hi, so my name is Kaya, and I am a research assistant with a professor who's doing research on Chinese infrastructure in Africa. And we're also designing like a field trip to China to study Chinese infrastructure next summer. And I just want to ask if we got this opportunity, and what advice you would give to educators and students during the field trip experience. Like, what kind of things should they pay attention to and focus on, so that they can get a better understanding of what's really going on in China's political economy and society and culture. Thank you.
One last question here, and then we'll give each of you a minute.
Hi, I'm Pete Kobus. I'm former, technically current global affairs editor with Voice of America, former Moscow bureau chief. 2 quick questions. I don't know that I've ever trusted USAGM's numbers on our audience size in China, but I'm wondering if since VOA has been shut down, if its absence has been felt on the ground. I'm also editing a memoir for an ethnic Uyghur who's based here in the Washington area. He has this argument that, totally different topic here, that the Taiwan Straits issue is all a smokescreen to distract international attention from repression of the Uyghurs. And I'm wondering if there's, any veracity to that theory. Thank you.
All right, so we have a range of questions. You all have a minute each to say whatever you'd like, either to address the questions or a key takeaway you'd like to leave the audience with.
Yeah, I can say a little bit about the satellite. It's satellite images and AI, New York Times and also many other news organizations have been using satellite images. Remember, there was, I can't remember the news organization, there was a Pulitzer Prize for satellite, based on satellite images of the Uyghur concentration camps, and that was amazing work. And also at the times we have the visual investigation team, and they do a lot of visual investigations. But the problem with we cannot just report on China based on images from high up, like thousands of miles away, right? And I talk about like China is a country that looks really good from drones, right? Behind all the high-speed railways, there's a lot of deaths, overcapacity, it's like a lot of things. And also how whether ordinary Chinese are benefiting from this, and what are the lessons we can learn there. It's just, it's not something, we need those stories, we need those coverages, but that coverage alone cannot be all. And also just one sentence about the VOA, the absence of VOA. I wrote about that, and I did 3 episodes about VOA being shut down and how it impacts Chinese. And I interviewed people from 70s to 20s, and it's the impact of VOA on generations of Chinese. And I feel that it's really, really a big loss for the Chinese community inside China and outside China. And we need institutional news outlets to cover China. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo that about VOA and the loss, losing those voices, and that there were voices. I think it's been, I think we're only going to know how much in coming months and years, but it's a huge loss. Secondly, on satellites and AI, good question, but again, they are tools. And as journalists, they are tools. They will not replace journalists, and we will use them as tools, but I think that, again, getting journalists on the ground, getting journalists who know and can source, and also getting sources to talk to us again. They're not going to talk to the robots. They're not going to talk to the satellites. Thank you.
Okay, let me first briefly reply to the AI satellite question, and start on, let me try to be positive first, that we have invented a lot of machine learning, amazing machine learning tools that can read tens of thousands of millions of documents much faster than human beings. We also have the GIS AI satellite technology that can draw amazing maps to see how things distributed. But still, the human side, why human side is important is because, for example, right now, China is opening up for a K visa. You cannot understand why Chinese citizens are rejecting this idea. It seems to be a really good idea, right? Why Chinese citizens are rejecting this idea? If you try to answer this question through satellite, you cannot do that. And plus, because of data security has become so important in China recently, the access of satellite is limited to whenever you get to actually look at a map, you're like, why this particular place is blocked out? It's because that's very important areas that you cannot reach by your or those maps and satellite technology. And also to stop on a more positive ground. I think the question about what do we do for our field, what topic we study for field work, it is not as gloomy as we thought, because as Andy mentioned, that the global footprint has reached a lot, every corner of China almost. Perhaps you can always find an interesting topic that's always connecting the local with the global, and I would have a hard time to think somewhere of a locality in China that is absolutely out of touch with the global context nowadays. So yeah, I'll stop here.
That's a great primer for the next panel, but before we take our break, Andy, last thought.
So for my 1 minute, I can't speak about what the closure of BOA has done in China. What I can say is offer my immense gratitude, because when I was in China during Tiananmen in Chengdu, it was due to BOA that I knew what was going on. So it's a very, very important resource. Regarding the Uyghur, linking the Uyghur and the Taiwan issue, I think it sounds to me like one way of interpreting that is that there might be an attachment of too much intentionality to linking the two. I think very often when we look at what happens in China, and this is the Chinese, when we look at what happens in the US, they've been doing this for a very long time, is that we attach intentionality to things that are either coincidental or otherwise kind of fall together. I think we have to, it would help us to at least think about if such an activity was unintentional, how and why did it happen? I'm not going to add to anything that's already been said about the satellites and GIS, but it does seem to me to be a little bit more useful in scholarship than in journalism, for the reasons already stated. And then finally, in terms of what to do in the field, I would get off of any social media. I put your phone away, except to take photographs. And what I would do is, because of your jet lag, you're going to get up very early in the morning, go out on the street and just walk around. Take in as much as you can. Be a sponge. You might not even know what it is that you're taking in, but you will once you get back.
Please join me in thanking our first panel.